Hi everyone, hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is the very first video that I'm recording for this channel, where I'm planning to talk about my experience as an adult chess improver. Before we go any further, I just would like to thank everyone on Twitter, in particular in ChessPunk community, who gave me positive encouragement, who replied to my tweet where I asked whether or not this type of content would be helpful. Thank you for all of you who sent me positive messages or encouraged me to do it. So essentially, after some planning and preparation, here we are. I'm recording a very first video for this channel. Now, I wanted to also highlight one more thing here. I am not a professional coach. I'm not a title player. As a matter of fact, I'm not even a strong player. I'm just an adult improver rated around 2100 classical on Lichess, still trying to improve and learn the game. And I would like to just start a series of videos where I will be sharing tips that I found out helpful, that really helped me or worked out for me. And I hope other adult improvers who are more or less at my level would find interesting and helpful. The way I would like to structure these videos is that I will be mentioning a tip or a change in my approach which I found useful, and then I would try to back it up with the example games that I have played. So the first thing I want to mention is what I think a lot of adult improvers are doing, and this is something that I did myself a lot in the past, that we tend to invest a lot of time into studying openings, which is helpful. There's nothing wrong with studying openings, but you will find out that it's a lot better investment of time, especially as adult improvers, since we probably don't have, a few hours every day to invest into chess. It's going to be a lot better investment of time if we prioritize tactics or calculation over opening prep. At our level, I do believe that a lot of games are decided by calculation or by tactics, not really in the opening phase. So just getting some advantage, +1 or -1, depending on which color you're playing for, is not really going to be converted into winning advantage. I have here an example game that I would like to show, which I hope will help me to back up the points that I'm making here. This is a game I played on Lichess. It's a classical game. I'm playing against an opponent who is also rated a little bit over 2000 on Lichess. The game started with Sicilian defense. It's an open Sicilian all the way until this point. I sort of was familiar with this opening. However, my opponent played here knight a3, which caught me by surprise. Most of the time I expect the move here bishop g5, but apparently this knight a3 is also a move, and as of move 7 I essentially had no idea what to do. So I was completely on my own. I was not prepared, or I was not aware that this knight a3 is playable here. So what I did, I continued developing my pieces and hopefully challenging the center, because that's what you essentially need to do in the opening, right? I took here on f6 with a pawn. It may look a bit counterintuitive because I'm blocking, I'm doubling my pawns, but I didn't like taking on f6 with a queen, because there is knight to d5 with an attack on c7. I could obviously take it, but then I think the queen lands on d5. So I decided that these doubled pawns are not a big of a problem, because I thought I would be able to push f5 and at least get rid of the pawn on f6. So the game continued with a few more moves. It's move 11. Take a second to guess what you think the engine evaluation is. So starting from move 7, I'm on my own opening wise. It's move 11. Guess what you think the engine evaluation is. It's almost +3. So the engine is saying that white has a huge advantage, which makes sense, right? Apparently white was a lot better prepared in the opening, but it's not the end of the game, is it? I mean, it's still game on, and I feel like I still had practical chances. So I played here's move f5, sort of getting rid of the pawn, opening up my bishop and sort of weakening this knight on d5. Now I think without the pawn on e4, a knight is not as solid as it was with the pawn there. So I feel like I've managed to improve my position a bit during the game. I wasn't unhappy at this moment by move 16, and it's 5 moves from the moment where the engine was screaming that white has around +3 advantage. Take a second to guess what do you think the engine evaluation here is. It's around +1. I mean, now it's a bit less than +1, but obviously during the game I wasn't really aware what the engine evaluation is, but the point I'm trying to just make here is that if you get bad position out of the opening, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's game over. If you play sensible moves, try to continue developing your pieces, you should be able to either equalize or even achieve some advantage. So here I had a very simple plan just to push my pawns on f4 and e5. My opponent's king was still in the center, so I just tried to use it to my advantage. Here my opponent played very interesting looking move, knight to c7, attacking my rook and actually attacking the pawn on d6, and I obviously cannot defend that pawn with the rook, because then knight to e6 is coming in, forking pretty much everything. So I decided that I can ignore the threat of losing the rook on a6 and just or on a8, sorry, and just continue pushing my pawn. So at this moment, it's a very first point in the game where I felt like tactics came in. So here I calculated capture on e2, and I realized that white are essentially forced to take with the king, because if they don't, if they take here with the queen, I would have the move like queen to e7 with the check and picking up that knight. So this is the first moment where I feel like realizing that there is this double attack tactic helped me to understand that taking on f2 with the king is forced, and I would be able to have at least attacking chances, because now the king cannot castle, and sort of I managed to lure the king in. And just to show you what would have happened if white would have taken on f2, I would have just won a piece and have a winning position. As the game continued, I give a check on g3. I tried to push the pawn forward. Here I had a decision to make. Obviously, you don't want to trade the queens when you attack, but I couldn't find anything better, and I should say this is probably the second moment where tactics or calculation was quite helpful, because here I calculated that I can take on f2. Obviously black would be forced to recapture with the king. Then I'm taking on g2 with the check, and I'm forking the rook on h1 and bishop on f2. King would essentially be forced to take the pawn, and I would have this nice skewer with bishop to e4, skewering the king, which will end up on g2 and rook on h1. So just by seeing that, I realized that in the worst case scenario, I should be able to play this, also win the exchange on h1, and even if I give up this rook on a8, the material should be equal, because I'm winning the exchange there. So this is more or less actually what happened in the game, right? So we reached this particular position. My opponent played king to g1. I spent 6 minutes here trying to realize what to play. I thought probably the easiest would be to take on h1 and just go for this position, which is material-wise it's equal, but I feel like my pieces are active, although I had this d6 pawn, which I consider to be a weakness. So in this position, instead of going for this, luckily I had time to spend, so I thought about 6 minutes and I played this bishop to d4 check. I am sort of sacrificing a piece here, but I realize that I want to bring those 2 rooks to the game very actively with a check with the tempo, and if I do it, I should be able to win this rook on h1 for free without giving up a bishop. So I would eventually be up in exchange. So this is essentially what happened, right? Why took my bishop. I managed to bring both of my rooks into the game with a tempo, and now I don't have a hanging rook on a8, and this rook is hanging, which I took. So essentially I was up in exchange at this point, right? So the game continued on, and I managed to convert the advantage to the win. So the game ended on the move 39 with the checkmate. I think this game sort of illustrates the type of positions you can get, even if you feel like the opening didn't really go your way, or you caught by surprise. There will be tactical chances, there will be tactics in the positions that you can leverage to your advantage. In the last section of this video, I just wanted to share a few tips for those who are interested in studying tactics or practicing calculation. What I would suggest is try to find a book for tactics or for calculation. I know there are opportunities to study or to do puzzles on Lichess or chess.com, or there are other online services as well, but I do believe there's a value in getting a book where you have tactics selected by human as opposed to being auto generated by some online services. I would suggest to check out the videos that Kostya Kavutskiy did on this topic. I don't want to repeat what he said, but it was a very good eye-opener for me when I watched the videos that I would link in the description. He explains very well what is the difference between a tactics puzzle from the book as opposed to tactic puzzles from online services. So do check out that video, please. And the books that I have used, and I'm actually still using it, I haven't finished, is Chess Tactics from the Scratch by Martin Veteshnik. I hope I'm not mispronouncing the second name. You can find a different book, it doesn't have to be that one, but yeah, I feel like there's a huge difference between studying tactics from the book as opposed to doing tactics or puzzles on Lichess. That's pretty much it what I wanted to cover in this video. Please feel free to leave comments. Let me know if you also had a similar experience, or if you agree or disagree with me. I'm really interested to hear your perspective. I will be following up this video with more tips, with more suggestions for adult improvers, and I hope you will really find the content helpful. Thank you very much once again for watching. Have a nice day. Bye bye.